So you got yourself a mill and some grain, but you're not sure what size to mill it on. Let me go show you some options. Hey everyone, Distiller Greyling here, one of your favorite home and hobby distillers. So yes, today I'm gonna review and talk a bit about the 2-roller mill I have and also mill some grain that I have, just to show you guys what's the difference or how it looks between the different size settings it has for your mill to be grain. I've got my 2-roller mill pre-assembled, got it on the base, got my mill sail, got the handle and the hopper. The hopper we will take off for now. I want to show you of the insides of the roller itself. This is basically how my 2-roller mill looks. You got your main roller, the one that you're actually going to crank and turn and mill the grain. And the secondary one is a looser one that's just going to help as to crush the grain as it goes inside the middle. So you will see there's 2 knobs on either sides that you adjust your size of the mill or the milling size that you want to go for. On this mill specifically, I've got a 0.1, a 0.05 and a 0.025. So it's basically a 1, a 50 and a 25. So I'm going to work with those 3 and showcase to you guys exactly how fine is the difference between the 3 of them. Now to adjust your roller, you've got these 2 lock nuts on the sides or your turning knobs. What I like to do, I just loosen them slightly and then you adjust your mill itself. Always make sure you try to adjust it simultaneously, that it's not too skewed. To give you an idea, if I turn the top one over to 1, you will see it's definitely a bigger gap on top than it has at the bottom. So you can see more or less what's the size difference between the 0.025 and the 0.1. But for now I'm going to leave it at 0.1 and then fasten it again. I make sure that both the lines are facing directly on the 0.1 to make sure that the gap itself is evenly. Then I fasten the 2 ring nuts, if you want to call it, tight to make sure it doesn't move. And then it's got these smaller lock nuts that I would also like just to turn. And I have got my small shifting that I would just take these lock nuts and just lock it to make sure that this setting doesn't move. And while I'm milling that, this doesn't jump around and then starts to vary, and then I would have a inaccurate or a varying mill, and that's not what I want to, or what's my aim at the end of the day. So alright, so that's my basic setup. I've got both sides on 0.1. I'm going to assemble the hopper now, get it over the bucket, and then we're going to mill some grain. The hopper itself, I just put on straight, make sure it's on evenly, it's not sticking out to one side that's maybe uneven. Make sure that my nuts on the inside is nice and straight, that they don't also skew and maybe can damage anything on the inside. And then I would just fasten it and make sure that it is good and secure. Do the same on the other side as well. Trying to see if the left hand is going to be stronger than the right hand. I am right-handed, but it's doing quite alright. Alright, so the hopper is on. You can see now it's nice and secure. I've got some barley here that I want to split into 4 groups or 4 heaps. The first heap I'm going to leave it as it is. The second one is going to be milled at the 0.1. The second one is going to be the 0.05, and the last one is going to be at 0.025. So let me get it divided up and get my heaps ready, and then we'll start to do some milling. So I'm going to use this small container at the bottom to catch the barley as we mill it. Yeah, it feels a bit wonky, but it's alright. It's not a lot, it's only about 250 grams that I'm going to mill. If you are going to mill a larger amount, if you're going to fill this hopper up completely, this hopper takes about 2.2 kilograms of barley if I want to fill it up completely. Then yes, I would just suggest you use a better or more stable base. As well, when I do the full hopper itself, I tend to take off the handle and put the drill straight on it just helps it, especially if you have to mill 25 kgs in total. Your poor arm is going to get tired of cranking the whole time. So for now, just going to take the barley, add it into the mill, and then mill it on that 0.1 that we have. So it was on the 0.1. I've moved it now up to the 0.05. We're going to mill it the next batch and see how it comes out. You can definitely feel that it's getting more strenuous, and I cannot just sit on my back and try and mill it. So I'm going to take a better stance and then see if we can get this 0.05 mill. So between the 0.1 and the 0.05, I can start to see a difference. The 0.1 setting, you couldn't really see anything being crushed or milled, but here now, yes, you can definitely see it's starting to be crushed. It really makes me curious to see how the fine one, the 0.025, is going to end up. Let's go check it out. Alright, so I've got it on the finest setting for my setup here on a 0.025. We're going to mill it and then check how it looks. I also decided to mill a bit on a more steadier base, just to make sure that I don't accidentally tip over and then spill all our experimental milling for the day. So after milling with the 3 different settings I have, I definitely come to a conclusion that the 0.1 doesn't really do a lot. I will make a nice close-up for you guys to see entirely, but yes, for the 0.1 there's not a lot of difference between the normal grain unmilled and the 0.1, so I'm not too happy about the 0.1. The 0.05, you can see it did start to break it up more. When it starts to break open like this, especially when you do have got a malted grain, it will start to ease up for releasing the enzymes. But obviously as you mill it as well, even if it's normal grain, you will also start to open up for that sugars to come out more easier, especially when you start to add your enzyme. Now for the last size I have, the 0.025, you can definitely see it has changed a lot. You can see it's a lot more crushed and fine. I think if you will start to do a starch conversion on this one, you will have good results. It's something to look out for, maybe, is to take these different types ones and do their own separate starch conversion on each. If you want to know more about starch conversion, check out my last video I did. But I'm not going to play around with all these 3 and do a starch conversion on each of them by themselves. I will add everything together with my next starch conversion and we'll just take it from there. That's it for today. It's been a very shorter and more practical type of video. I'm trying to change up and do different type of things. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you've got more questions about the roller mill, drop me a question. I will gladly help and answer. If you like it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Until you see you guys again, remember to be awesome, to be kind, be yourself. Cheers.